Alright, this week's video is a little different, and I'm going to take this time right now, instead of doing my usual beginning video announcement, to say any people of color, but especially any black people, you don't need to watch this video. It very well could be triggering for you. I don't want that for any of you, so you can take a pass on this video. Any of my other videos, or just any other videos on YouTube, please go watch those instead. You guys deal with this enough as is. None of this, you know what I mean, this message isn't for you. This is specifically for all the white people that follow me. So you're gonna stay here and you're gonna watch this video because this is an important video that you need to be part of and you need to see. So let's do that. I'm gonna give everybody a minute to either get settled for this video, or, you know, if you need to go watch a different one, please click the ones on the side, down below, wherever the other videos are. So I specifically wanted all the white people here because I specifically want to talk about white privilege, because I experienced it very, very firsthand the other day, because I am in fact a white woman. And I mean, obviously I experience it every single day. If you are white, you experience it every single day in every single way, but specifically very, like, visible, I guess, white privilege. I experienced it the other day, and I want to talk about that because I want to talk about how it could have gone so horrible if I was anything other than a white woman. So the other day, actually the day that last week's video went live, I was in a car accident, and that is not the important part of the story. The important part of the story is that we were in a car accident, and the first thing we did was call the police to report it and I guess get help. I've never been in a car accident before, so I don't really know how it works, but I guess you're supposed to call them to get help, whatever. We called them, they showed up to the scene, we were not at fault. Thank God the other person was also white, because it was very, like, civil conversation, took our IDs, took our information, figured it out for us, you know, told us our car is not drivable, and offered us rides to the police station so that we had somewhere where we could go, because our car was not drivable, somewhere where we could go where we could call for somebody to come pick us up because we were further away from home. That happened. That's what happened. I rode in the back of a police car with all of my belongings, with my phone easily accessible, not handcuffed, obviously, you know, and I knew I was going to the police station to meet up with my mom, because unfortunately we had to ride in separate cars, which I was not a fan of. I knew I was getting there to meet up with my mom so that we could get there, get settled, and call somebody to come pick us up. And once we were in the station, we were there, we sat perfectly fine, we had access to the bathrooms, my mom had a couple questions that the guy behind, like, the plexiglass answered for her. We were very safe and taken care of, essentially. If I was anything other than a white woman, none of that would have happened. Same thing with my mom, and same thing with the person that was at fault for the accident. They would have, who knows what would have happened, especially because they were the ones at fault. And I want that to just settle in for a minute. Look at all the help that my mom and I got for a car accident. Which is what you would think. You think that when stuff like that happens, that the first thing they're going to do is actually help you, because that's what we're taught our entire lives. But I would just like to read off a list of some people that were involved in some way, shape, or form with cars and car accidents that didn't make it and were killed by police. Obviously, there are more black people in the world every single year that get murdered by police, especially in this country, but I kind of looked up and tried to find the ones of whose names we know, because, you know, there's plenty of names we don't know. I looked up and found anybody's names that we could find, and that we know of, that were some way, shape, or form involved with cars. So I'm going to read this list to you. Dante Wright was killed by police, and he was driving with his girlfriend when it happened. Rashard Brooks fell asleep in his car and was blocking the entrance to, like, a fast food thing, and he was murdered instead of, you know, asked to move, which would happen to literally any white person. Fidelio Castile pulled over at a traffic stop, and we all know exactly how that went. He told the police that he had, you know, a weapon in the car because he had a license to carry, and he was murdered in front of his girlfriend and 3-year-old daughter, which then there was later video evidence, and I'm sure we can still find that somewhere on the internet, of his 3-year-old trying to reassure her mother while handcuffed in the back of a police car. Gabriela Nevarez, this one I personally didn't know about. When I looked this up, this is one I found. She was driving and police asked her to pull over, and obviously as a black woman, she was terrified, so she tried to kind of swerve out of the way. She rammed into a police car and they just opened fire on her. And Sandra Bland, which is maybe the most infamous one, it was a minor traffic violation and she got arrested, and her mugshot was of her dead in prison. So just think about that as a white person. Think about all the help I got. Think about if you have ever been in a car accident situation, even if you were the one at fault, think about how easy the situation was for you to kind of deal with. We were helped. We had all of our questions answered. We were given transportation, and then we were given a place to stay. All of these people on my phone, I wrote them down so that way I wouldn't forget. All of these people, minor situations, murdered. Whether in that moment in their cars or at a separate time. Murdered by police. As white people, we have white privilege always, all the time. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, it doesn't matter if you're like, you know, queer, disabled, whatever. We are still higher up than any person of color, and especially black people. This was a very visible, obvious, I guess, moment of white privilege, and I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted you, as white people, you know, if you're watching this, I needed you to understand that. This is not a fun video. This is not like a haha happy good times, because we don't get to do that all the time. Black people live this every single day. Black people have to be hyper vigilant, and other people of color as well, but mainly black people have to be hyper vigilant of every single thing they do. For me, this was a freak accident that happened, and the aftermath was, you know, best case scenario. Black people have to be hyper vigilant 24/7 because any little fucking thing can get them killed. Especially in this country. I know all over the world, but especially this country, because we have evidence. Constant evidence. So no, this isn't a funny video because we don't get to be funny all the time. This is literally the bullshit bare minimum I can do as an ally, is make a video like this. And that's what I'm doing. Because it needs to be said, and it needs to be brought to your attention. If this is not something that I guess you're not like acutely aware of all the time, now is your tell to be acutely aware of it. So I'm not doing my regular intro and I'm not doing my regular outro. Just keep it in mind. Watch it again. If it makes you uncomfortable, then there's a reason for that, and it should make you uncomfortable because it makes me uncomfortable to think about it. It was best case scenario for me in a freak accident, and I have a lot of emotions about it, alright? So keep it in mind. Don't forget it. If you want to call yourself an ally, you don't get to forget things like this, and you don't get to be comfortable about things like this.